Well, staying on Observer Mission chats to discuss the role of election observers in the crucial elections like South Africa's. We're going to be joined by Pastor Bert Pretorius from Mahlasedi Foundation. Pastor Bert, good evening. It's still evening. Thanks for joining us at this hour. Perhaps as chairperson of the Mahlasedi Foundation, you could talk to us about the need to mobilize, be part of, what's happening in our country, serve as an observer this time round. Why did you decide to compose and function in this capacity?
Yeah, well, I think it's critical that we play our role, and
yes,
we've got a civil duty, towards our nation. So, when we're talking about Mahlasedi Foundation, what we did is we got a coalition of faith-based organizations and fraternals, and out of that, already serving the community, but bringing them together and say, well, let's come together and serve the nation by being part of the electoral observer process. So I think that's how it started, and it's amazing what has come out of that. As Mahlasedi, Mahlasedi was birthed as a disaster relief organization. During COVID, one of the largest there is. So we've got the infrastructure, we've got the IT capabilities, and then of course we've got the people. We represent with everybody together. We're talking thousands, tens of thousands of churches, and we're talking constituents of over 5 million. So the ability to be able to mobilize in every area of the country, is probably the strength that we have as Mahlasedi.
And so speaking about that strength, what are the rights, roles and responsibilities this time round to ensure that the elections, the outcomes are free, fair, transparent as well?
Yeah. Well, basically we're limited to what we can do as far as the IEC is concerned.
Yes.
So, which was a difficult situation for us, because basically, as an observer, you're not allowed to get involved.
Yeah, 100%.
All you need to do is observe. So, you want to fix stuff because you see the shortcomings and you see things that are not right. And we really had, when we talk about observers, we had high-profile people that are from high-profile organizations, being there involved, but we can only observe.
Yes.
So we couldn't actually get physically involved and fix stuff, but we were there to observe. So that was a bit difficult, but where there were things that we had to report, the things that were not right, of course we did that, because if there's any criminal activity, it needs to get reported. But that's normal. But I think the role of the observer was something fresh for us, and of course it was tedious. It was a 24-hour shift. Some people,
yes,
from 4 o'clock in the morning to the next morning 4 o'clock, and then we had about 1,700 observers. Some of them we stationed permanently at some of the stations, and then we had some roaming that would go visit 10, 20, 30 stations. Now remember, you can have 5 stations in one school, and in an area with 5 schools, you can have like 30 stations. So you can visit 30 stations and go through it properly and observe properly. And then what we had IT backed solutions, so they could immediately, in live time, if there's any incident, report it. And then we had on the hour, every hour, we had reports coming in. So of all our data and 10,000 of lines of data we got, we had just over 900 incidences reported. So we've got a lot of data, but 900 urgent incidences, that we had to consider.
Okay, so just before we get into some of those incidences and the recommendations, I wanted to look at the issue of participation and representation, because women and gender does play a role and come to the fore in a South African context. How did you mitigate or work through some of those challenges? What have you also observed in our elections this time round?
Well, I think once again, if we look at the participation, the women participation, as Mahlasedi is the board of directors are all ladies, and so they're very, very involved in the day-to-day running of what we are doing, and even with our observers, we make sure that the makeup is that of and not that we really try to do it. It's just that when you're looking for capable people and people that are willing, automatically that was our makeup. I think we had over 50% ladies participating, being involved, with the process. So that was awesome.
I actually wanted to get you just quickly on the point of the recommendations on the challenges on the back of what you've echoed just earlier on.
Yes.
What's come to the fore? Just also looking at improvements at large. How would you like to? What would you like to share on that?
Right, definitely the biggest issue we found was the time it took. We timed the stations, and sometimes it took up to 3-4 minutes, to get a person through the whole process.
Okay.
So I think that was a big issue. The big issue was having per station only one device and one voter roll. So and when the devices didn't work, they had a voter roll. So if one person came and had an issue, then it could take 5 to 10 minutes to sort out that issue, and they don't have another place to sort it out. So they can't find the name, they can't find their number, or maybe they're not even registered at that station, and it takes 5 to 10 minutes. And while that happens, nothing is taking place.
Yeah.
So to us, we found that all over, that was one of the biggest problems. Rather having two, one that can sort out issues, and then if it's not sorting out issues, it can continue, but there's no ways that you can just have one verification role or a device. So I would think that just that would sort out. So everything that's lagging now, even the counting that's lagging,
exactly,
everything that lags is coming from there.
Yeah.
So if we had that sorted out, the counting wouldn't be such a big issue, although we have had some issues with long counting. I think at one station it took them 5 hours, 6 hours to count 900 votes. So there were issues here and there. But other than that, I think that's probably the biggest thing that needs to be worked out.
Pastor Bert, you are still in observer mode.
Yes,
so I'm going to let you go and continue with the work. Thank you very much for joining us at this hour and for unpacking that a little bit further. We're just looking at the role of observers at this point in ensuring, that the work of the IEC remains credible, transparent, free and fair.